In this video, I want to talk to you about importing media and using your media browser. And as you can see, I have a blank project with just a 1080p timeline, and I'm going to use the media browser to import a couple assets. So I'm going to navigate. Let me go ahead and make this full screen by hitting the tilde key. And I'm going to navigate to where my footage is located. My Vimeo 101. Click inside of there, and inside of the raw footage folder I have A Day in the City. Inside of this folder are a few other subfolders from every camera reel, and we have a pictures folder for still images. So I want to import all of these intact. So I would like to keep these folders intact when I import them. So I could, if I did go in here and literally highlight it, right click it, click import. You will end up seeing an error, and that's basically just showing you all the files that won't import, such as CR2 raw camera files. When I go back into my project panel, I'll notice everything is in there, but I've lost all my folders. So this is not really ideal. Let's take a step back here. And I'm just going to delete the import. Now I would like to import it the proper way. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bin. I can go right over here to the new item icon. Right next to it on the left is the new bin icon. Or I can simply right click and highlight new bin. And I'm just going to call this A Day in the City. So command on a Mac, control on a PC, double click, and basically now I have opened that bin inside of its own tab. I'll float over here to the media browser, and now instead of highlighting just that folder, I'm going to double click on that folder, and there's several folders inside of here, and I'm going to highlight every single one of these folders except for the pictures folder, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. And then all I have to do is right click, import. And now when I go back to my bin, I have all the folders still intact. So that's just one workaround to keep everything intact. Inside of each one of these is the media, just like you have it on your portable hard drive. Now let me go back to my media browser. Using the icon view, I want to show you why I want to import my pictures into a separate folder. So I do have my raw images in here. That's CR2 files. And then I have my 1080p cropped images as well. What I could do is, of course, go back. This right here is the back button. This will take you back one folder. And now I'm back here in this part of my directory. And you can always, this is kind of your roadmap here on the left. You can see where you are in what folder. So if I were to highlight the pictures folder, I can see everything in the pictures folder. But I want to go back to A Day in the City folder. Want to double click pictures. And if I wanted my 1080p cropped pictures, and I wanted these images, which are the full res JPEGs, I can go back, and what I like to do is actually go back in here, and I'm going to go ahead and create two folders or two bins by just right click, new bin, and I'm going to title this one full res images. Hold the command key, or Control on a PC and double click and load it into its own panel. Then I'm going to go back to the media browser, go into the pictures folder in my media browser, click, shift click, highlight all those images except for this folder and this folder. Right click, import. When I go back into this bin that I had already open in its own tab, all those images are present. So that's just one workaround. Now, if I want to go back into the media browser and I want to import my 1080p cropped pictures, I'll right click, click import, and now because I was already within my project, I was not still inside of this bin right here for full res images. I was outside of that bin. I clicked right click, import, and I've imported the 1080p cropped versions of those pics. So that's just one way to import folders and folder structures intact inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. Now I want to show you how to import elements from another project into your current project using the media browser. So I'm just going to select this other project that I've created, right click on it, click import. Premiere Pro will come up with this import project dialog. And I can import my entire project, or I can import selected sequences. For this, I'm going to choose import selected sequences. It'll read my project file, and then it'll reveal all the elements inside of that project file. For this, I'm going to select the Rough Cut 1080. Click on this, and I'll hit OK. Then I'll go back into my project panel, navigate to my Rough Cut 1080 timeline, and as you can see, all the elements from that timeline in another project with similar media are all intact. So this is a great tool for collaboration. So you can import elements from one project into another, sharing the same media. Let's go back into the media browser. I'm going to hit the tilde key, maximize my frame again. And I just want to show you one or two things that make your life a lot easier with inside the media browser. So in the top right hand corner, not this eyeball, but this little funnel looking thing. And this is to show you all your supported file types. It'll also funnel through all of your supported file types and display only the ones that you check, except for folders or bins. So if I were looking for JPEG movies within a stack of 500 video clips, when I click the JPEG file, everything else disappears except for the JPEG file. Let me navigate back to my raw footage, and as you can see, you have the option to go between icon view and list view. If you do choose icon view, when you click on any of these clips, you can either hover scrub, or you have a little mini timeline that pops up and you can scrub with your mouse or even with your JK and L keys. As you can see, the media browser is very intuitive and easy to use. It's also a lot like your project panel. Now let me show you the most basic way to import media into your Premiere Pro project. So you can always go up to the File menu and choose Import, or even easier, you can just double click in a gray area in your project panel and you'll get the Import dialog box. Inside the dialog box, you can navigate throughout your file structure. And you can import a single clip, or if you hold Shift click, you can import multiple clips. To recap our lesson, we learned about importing media. Using our media browser, using the standard import dialog, file import, importing our folders intact, also knowing our supported files and how to filter through our supported files. And one of my favorites, importing sequences and projects into projects. So now you can see how easy it is to import files into Adobe Premiere Pro and get started working.